the temples? Are they transferring to some other place?
No, generally they make a different plate for Guru Parampara, like a Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati.
Yeah, that goes on sometimes. Yeah.
Otherwise, the same plate they just their spiritual master to have.
Yeah, we just presented in descending order.
My understanding for this question was that you have the demigods on a separate altar to offer the puja. That was his question. So the same plate of bhoga that you offer to Lord Krishna or Jagannath, whoever is on the altar, then do they have to have the demigods on a separate place where they can take that offering from Krishna? That was his question, right?
Yeah. There may be a separate place, or at least what we like to do is have different levels.
Yeah.
So we'd have devatas below, like the Vishnu Tattva and things like that. So you have like Radha Krishna or Jagannath top. You might have some devatas, and then below that you could have Jiva Tattva, like that. So it doesn't necessarily, I don't know, have you heard otherwise? It doesn't necessarily have to be separate altars.
Even Jagannath Puri also they carry the same pots to altar.
Yeah.
So same
It's not necessary that you should. If it is affordable for you and you have that much time to do that in elaborately, you can go ahead. Otherwise, just as you are asking your spiritual master to honor it from that plate, what's to speak of demigods?
They can pick a little something. So you can just show, you can use a gesture and come up with something.
And one more question, like generally in a place like USA, generally in India, they cook 3 times a day in the house also mostly. In a place like USA, they cook once, whatever is the curry or rice or whatever is it. And let's suppose we are eating 3 times, so every time we are offering to the Lord. So how does it go? Like we have to cook 3 times separately if we separately install deity, or how does it go?
It's the same preparation?
Yeah, same preparation. Let's suppose we have prepared, especially coming to curries, we'll be preparing only once. Coming to rice, we might prepare 1 or 2 or 3 times based on the day. So if you prepare curry once, so can we use the, let's suppose I have a pot of curry, I use little bit curry for offering the Lord once in the morning, and little bit in the afternoon, or little bit in the evening. So can we use it, or how does it go?
Generally not. Generally you just offer it that one time, because after the Lord's enjoyed it, you're enjoying it, so to offer it again after you're having it.
That's not
There's some exceptions to that. In the temple, sometimes we do something called like a daily sweet. It's more of a USA practice. I don't think they're doing it in India so much, but they are doing it here, I think. No?
India every time they cook. Every time they cook separate.
Yeah. So sometimes here in the US in the temples, they'll have like one sweet, maybe they'll bake a sheet of cookies, and they'll give a few cookies for 3 or 4 different offerings, starting from Raj Boga, then Vaikalika Boga, and Sandhi Boga. Like they'll offer it 3 or 4 times through the day. But doesn't happen. That's not the general rule. So the best thing is, even milk sweets. So it's kind of sometimes the consciousness, right? Because milk sweets, many temples even in India are having a hard time, doing milk sweets. It's like 5-6 hours a day. Are you familiar with many temples doing daily? The smaller ones probably they're doing once every 2 or 3 days. Mayapur, we know we have what's Prabhu's name? He's there from like 3 o'clock all the way to 9 o'clock every day. So anyway, to answer your question, what's first class is you just offer it the one time. In some cases, when it's some particular dry preps. I mean, from that standpoint, you think about it. You buy a big bag of nuts, and then you're offering those nuts. So, in one sense, you're offering them. You're able to take something each day from that. So, I think a lot of it is the consciousness and the intention. But practically speaking, like what you're talking about, when you make some curry for the day and all and the rice, I wouldn't be going back to that same pot. I wouldn't do that.
So dry fruits are meal preparations again.
Yeah, You're taking from the Vedic marketing. I mean, when you think about it, all the different spices and things, it's the same thing, you know. So there's little elements, and so a lot of it has to do with the consciousness aspect. Yes.
So the context is like devotees who are transitioning from living in certain constraints, moving to more purer form of offering. So you are also transitioning, as your behavior, your kitchen is also moving around, and some vessels which were not cooked with, let's say onion garlic, you are now not using those and cooking on new vessels, but you continue to use some of these vessels, right? So let's say you cook 3 items and you offer only 2 which are cooked in cleaner vessels, right? So is it okay to offer only 2 of the 3 that you cook but eat take all 3?
Right, so the premise of your question is some who want to be stricter than others, if garlic or onions were ever used in a particular pot, it could be like a stainless steel pot, is it okay? Is it considered asuchi and you could never use it again or not? I don't know, is that normally how you all...
See, anything, if you keep it on the fire, it gets purified. So there is no question of getting that contaminated because it is previously used for something.
Yeah.
So,
Generally speaking, you might hear that from some devotees, but generally I wouldn't worry about if onions or garlic or mushrooms were in pots. Sometimes, like if you knew there was like meat in them, then I'd probably stay away from that. But when it comes to like that category of onions and garlic, I personally wouldn't worry about it so much. Thank you.
otherwise, everyone has to crowd all the parts around.
Yeah.
See, there are 7 different things they can purify, like air, ash, water, fire. They purify things immediately. So that misconception, someone they can go, yeah, cooked previously like onion, garlic, so we should not use it for further food. It's not like that. Only earthen pot, because that is never reused. Once it is used, whether you use onion garlic or not, or just pure vegetarian without onion garlic, that earthen pot should not be reused. Because once it is used, it is contaminated. Yeah. But metal is always considered when it comes in contact with the fire, or water, or air, or ash, wooden ash. It gets buried.
Good question. Yes,
Which mantra used to
what mantra for offering bhoga?
Usually we do like Namo Vishnupada, Namo Brahmana Devaya, Go Brahmana Devaya, and the last one is
First.
so then this is the three mantra used to sing while offering the prasadam, or is there any other mantras?
This is the system Srila Prabhupada established. Actually, it's a little unusual because these are pranam mantras for offering obeisances and things. And traditionally, these type of mantras are used at the conclusion of a worship, through stuti and stotra. However, Srila Prabhupada introduced this particularly with the ISKCON. Like Gaudiya Math and other Gaudiya Vaishnava groups from before, they weren't offering like this. But Srila Prabhupada gave special emphasis to us having the mood of not approaching Krishna directly. He says we have no right, we don't have the adhikar. Therefore, we have to ask ourselves, what's the reasons that we're chanting these pranam mantras? Anybody? What do you think the reason is? Why would we chant Guru Pranam, Gora Pranam, and Krishna Pranam?
We need their blessings. We need their blessings to approach Krishna.
Yes. It's actually through their blessings that they're carrying these offerings up, and they're connecting us to the Lord. Because this parampara is the electric wire, so to speak, to the powerhouse. So yeah, the meditation is that we're giving to Guru, Namo Vishnu Padaya, and then going Guru through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Namo Mahavadanyaya, ultimately to Krishna. Namo Brahmani Devaya, Bo Brahmani Devaya.
So how long can I put the prasadam near the altar so that I can take it up first? Do you have any time specific?
Prabhupada answered that question in terms of like, in the context of the temples, and it can be the same for the home. He was generally saying leave for 15 minutes or so, 15, 20 minutes. 10, 15, 20 minutes. That's the general time frame. In our temples, one difference between home worship and temple worship is understood. There's this emphasis on punctuality. We're on Krishna's time, 100%. In the home, it's nice to be regulated and to try to be timely, but as many of you have experienced, it's very difficult. So it's understood that it's not a seva aparad. You don't have to have, some offering at an exact time or arti at an exact time like that. There's some flexibility. If you're able to be regulated and do that, wonderful. But otherwise, it's not considered a seva aparad if you're offering something at 12 o'clock one day, 12:30 another day. But in the temple, it's a different situation. Srila Prabhupada was very, very strict with his punctuality. He once got on a devotee's case in Vrindavan in Krishna Balaram Mandir. He goes on a morning walk every morning, and he came back. I think it was 7:30. He was going to darshan time. And it was his servant. He asked the servant what time it was because the curtains didn't open yet. It was like 7:30 and 30 some seconds according to this devotee's watch. And Prabhupada was like upset. He's like, oh, they're simply lazy. Why are they taking so long? So Srila Prabhupada was unsatisfied with some seconds late, but to speak of 1 or 2 minutes late. That's the standard. We won't see that in most other organizations or lines. It's like, okay, 1 or 2 minutes, no problem. And we know some devotees that are like that, but no, that's not Prabhupada's belief. He'd be down your throat if you're 1 or 2 minutes late. So, it's like that. Okay? Yes,
I was going to mention to the people that we should not be that strict because we buy vegetables and fruits and everything from the markets. They're handled by people very immediately.
Yeah.
So we can't be that strict in everything what we do. Otherwise we'll not be able to survive in this material world.
Yeah.
especially.
It's understood. It's understood that it's all this blood is coming through passing through so many places and hands and this and that. One thing is stated in Shastra. I'm not sure where the Praman is, but by paying for something, it's purified. That's one aspect. You know where that comes from? I know you've heard of it. So that's one aspect.
So if you have small deities at home, do you have to wash them every day, or is it once in a week, or it's okay not to wash them at all?
Good question. Daily. Do we have to do it daily, weekly, every Ekadasi? How does it work? So, in our temples, Prabhupada wanted daily dressing. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna states that out of all the offerings, guess what are his favorite 2 offerings? Bathing and ornamenting. It's right there in Bhagavatam, directly in the verse. Bathing and ornamenting, out of everything, bathing and ornamenting is his favorite. So as devotees, if we understand that's his favorite, then we try to do it as much as we can. What do I see in most homes? I think generally what they're doing, because of their work schedule, they're oftentimes doing once a week. Like that. So if you can manage something daily, once again, we want to try to keep it simple. So what are you doing?
Once in a week, actually.
I would stick with that.
What about lighting the lamp? Sometimes lighting the lamp makes the surroundings, dirty after some time. So is it like a lamp? It's okay to not light it, or it's
Like an akandadi,
yeah,
standing lamp, we call it in English. Most of those practically, I don't see them using that, keeping a standing lamp. some of you and your families, you have like a Lakshmi lamp that's kept. So that's a tradition. You can try to maintain that, but you just know you're going to have to paint the walls more often.
Especially the area there, sometimes your body gets,
Yeah.
it starts to get dirty and all.
Yes. Yeah. Which gets to the point of cleanliness. So purity is, so important when it comes to deity worship. I mentioned in sloka, Prabhupada would oftentimes mention it as Param Brahma Param Dam Pavitram Paramamala. Krishna is the supreme pure. And he gives this analogy that Krishna is like fire. In order to touch fire, you have to be like fire. Because if you're not fire and there's an inconsistency in temperature, what happens? You get burned. So he was emphasizing through hearing and chanting, and of course all the different other methods of purification, from gross to subtle. We need to do these things to gradually get up to a level closer to Krishna so that we're able to connect. So yeah, sometimes if your altar is very dusty or dirty and all this, that's not very nice. It's not nice at all. Sometimes people think it's more important, and of course it is important, all the different rituals and the mantra and mudra, yes, that's important. But how effective is it if there's no sthana suddhi, there's no murti suddhi, there's no, it's like, so and Prabhupada was emphasizing that like anything. I mean, his mood was like, clean the altar floor regularly, daily, and so many things. In Hari Bhakti Vilas, we can talk about it tomorrow morning during Bhagavatam class. Hari Bhakti Vilas has this one verse, we call it the Satsudi verse. 5 different divisions of purity. So you have, let's see if I can remember them, Sthana Suddhi, so we're talking about that, Sthana Suddhi. Murti Suddhi, keeping the deity clean. Atma Suddhi, taking a shower, bath, clean clothes, all that. Chitta Suddhi, purity of consciousness. Dravya Suddhi, all the different articles, purity of the articles. Is that 5?
Yes.
Yeah. So you can practically find that anything will fit into one of these 5 categories, and they're all really, really important. Cannot overemphasize how important the purity aspect is. Okay? Yes.
What is the standards what we are using in Gaudiya Sampradaya to worship, deity worship? Like Sri Sampradaya, they follow the Pancharatra worship. Is there any specific standard for the Gaudiya Sampradaya?
It's coming from the Narada Pancharatra is normally what it says. What other else is Pancharatra? Otherwise, you wouldn't be seeing Videshis and things doing the worship and all that. The Pancharatra allows for that. Madhvas is like, even though they have a lot of similarities, Shris and Govinda Bhakta Prabhu is quite knowledgeable when it comes to going deeper into the different aspect of the Shastra book. So you have Pancharatra Vidhi and Bhagavad Vidhi. Pancharatra Vidhi, in the Pancharatra there's more things than just deity worship, but for our intents and purposes we're talking about deity worship. So there's the rules and regulations of deity worship. So that's going on as part of our sadhana. And then another track that goes parallel, just like a train track, is this Bhagavata Vidhi. And that's hearing and chanting. So it's explained, the analogy is like a train on a train track. We're the train, we're trying to go to the destination. In order to safely and effectively go to that destination, both the left track and right track have to be there. And one can't be missing, they can't be crossing, one can't go this way. They have to both go in parallel. So we're doing this deity worship, and we're also chanting and reading and hearing, Shravana and all that stuff, Smarana. We're doing them both at the same time.
I like more chanting than deity worship. So I give it the deity worship to my wife.
See, the thing is that, as you mentioned, that Sri Vaishnavas and Gaudiyas, what are the differences? They follow the Pancharatra. We follow 2 processes. Pancharatri Vidhi also and Bhagavad Gita. We give more emphasis on Bhagavad Gita. And Sri Vaishnavas, they give more emphasis on Pancharatri and Bhagavad Gita. Because they are more into Aishwarya Bhava, to worship the Lord. We are more into loving the Lord with certain relationships with Him. And that relationship we establish, especially Gaudiyas, with Bhagavad Gita. So our more emphasis on Bhagavad Gita. Very prominent acharyas, they took a deity worship so that we can do Bhagavad very properly. That is our more sum and substance. Because this age of Kali, the most important thing is chanting the holy name. And to induce us or enthuse us to do that, we have taken the deity worship. And for that we follow, as I said, Narad Pancharaka, this Padma Pancharaka, that's also added for certain vidhis. But both vidhis we follow.
Yeah, that's a very nice Nakshatra path. Until unless you see the deity, you won't chant properly.
Also, those who worship more just like we have more emphasis on the mood, it's not just one thing or another, but we have more emphasis on the mood. Similarly, Vallavas are like that too. Like in the Madhvas and the Shris tend to be more on the Vidhi mark. Which is a whole other conversation, this devotional service and regulation. You may have read, there's these 64 aspects of devotional service that I was talking about. This is based on regulative devotional service, meaning Vidhi marg. It's meant for all of us who are babies in our devotion. But we're not meant to stop there. And where it's nice and it's appreciated by the Lord, ultimately it's not so impressive. We're doing it, this Vidhi marg, we're doing it because we understand from our Guru, from the Sastra, that it's good for us. It's medicine for us to take. So just like you're saying, I have more of a taste for chanting, I don't have so much of a taste for the deity worship. That's okay, be that as it may. Our taste isn't fully developed yet, and maybe we wouldn't even be chanting so much if it wasn't impressed upon us so much that, hey, this is important, this is important. So we're like taking our medicine, even though it might not be so savory. We're meant to go beyond all that to what's called Rag marg, where it's spontaneous. It's completely spontaneous. And actually, when we get to that point, a lot of these rules and regulations, they go out the window. But Prabhupada was very, very careful. He knew that sometimes the mentality of the devotees, they think they're on this high platform already, and they can just, forget it, and they get into big trouble, and they mess up big time. So, even those, like within our society, who are at a very high level, externally, they're for all of our benefit to see, they're up, whether it be on the altar with the deity worship or in other aspects, they're very careful to show the proper example externally in keeping that up. Internally, they might have something very, very higher going on. Okay. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you so much, Jana bro. See, actually, it's a great opportunity for all of us. Because now, as we have taken a bit seriously, so how to apply that thing in our practical life, that we can learn from him. So please take advantage of that, attend all the programs, because we have invited him for that specific purpose, so that we can now just step up. You are doing something now, just go ahead, go further, and take this process seriously. So from tomorrow, like the next 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, we are having a practical session of deity worship. So whatever questions, and there are few terminologies that still we have not understood. We call Bhoga as Prasad also, and Prasad also, Prasad also. Like bathing Lord, we got washing Lord. So why this deity worship is why so important? Because it makes you personal. It develops that personal relationship with the Lord. But you don't say that I wash my son, do you? No. You say I bathe him. So that creates a difference. That changes our mood also. So please take it seriously and take advantage of this association. It's very rare to get all these things so nicely explained and practically applied. So tomorrow, 10 o'clock. I will remind you again. Morning 6 o'clock, 10%.
Yeah, when I see everyone doing the worship, and I don't know how many rounds they will do.
These are the details. As we said, it depends upon everyone's how elaborate you want to go and how much you can keep up the minimum standard. That we'll discuss tomorrow in depth.
Yeah, a lot of these things, the circles, the details, it's good to know, so we're on the same page and the Lord's being served consistently amongst all the devotees. But what's the Paragupachar? It's not the Dupa, I'll give you a hint, it's not the Dupa, Deepa. What's the Paragupachar? What does the Lord really want? So it's these items that are the vehicle or the vessel by which we're able, the vehicle or vessel by which we're able to show this. Bhakti isn't just a feeling, it's like when Srila Prabhupada translates in English Bhakti, he doesn't just say devotion, he says devotional service. So it's devotion in action. So naturally, when we have some affection, some love for someone, we're actually doing things. We're doing something. So, yeah. All these items, all these upacharas, it's meant to be an expression
As they say,
of
it's
devotion.
token of love.
Token of
Token
love.
of love.
There you go. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you so much.